I gotta tell you, I cannot be the only one that gets overwhelmed and confused when I am searching the internet for any information related to resume, especially when it comes to applying for jobs in corporate America, which is why I'm going to be breaking down in today's video all of the fundamentals that you need to write a resume. Here are the systemic practices that you need to know if you are ready to apply for jobs, if you are a recent graduate, if you are switching industries, or if you are just overwhelmed with the amount of information that's out there on the internet. And yes, I raised my hand, although that I have an extensive background in recruitment and hiring and HR, I still search the internet for this type of information. And I gotta say, there's a lot of conflicting stuff out there. If you are working in corporate, these practices are really going to help you narrow it down. The reason why resumes became so complicated is because people tell you you have to stand out in order for you to really be unique and tell your story. Make it colorful, make it a little bit more familiar to the company's brand. And although I do agree to that with certain extent, when it comes to the corporate space, I think the simpler, the better. And yes, resumes are going to be very personable to you, and I think that they should be as simple as possible. And it's gonna be in the eye of the beholder at the end of the day, depending on which recruiter you ask, what industry the person is in, who the hiring manager is. I do believe that the tips that I'm gonna give you in today's video really do hold true to the thousands of people that I've worked with, the thousands of people that I've interviewed, specifically the hiring managers that I've worked with hand in hand in the last 9 years. So without any further ado, let's just give you the first tip, which is these are the things that you need on a resume regardless of where you're gonna be working in. And I'm pretty comfortable with this because I need to be able to contact you as a recruiter, as a hiring manager, or as a hiring professional. Essentially, I need to know your name, I need to know where to call you, like a phone number or an email address, and most likely, I'm gonna need your LinkedIn URL. Now, the LinkedIn URL is going to be a little bit more loose because there's a lot of people that don't have a LinkedIn URL, but I do have to tell you that LinkedIns are going to essentially help you more than they're going to hurt you. There was a survey, which I'm going to be linking then in the down bar, but 73%, if you have a LinkedIn URL on your about section on your resume, you'll increase your chances of potentially getting a call back by a recruiter by 73%, especially if you are more on the entry level side when you are applying for jobs. And the fact that people are not doing this just baffles my mind. Recruiters spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. 85% of recruiters are on LinkedIn on a daily basis, and it's just second nature to them to want to go and check out a profile. One, because it's a lot easier to navigate than a resume, it's quicker to read than a resume, and it's just essentially easier to connect the dots, especially if you come from a non-traditional background. So if you do not have a LinkedIn profile, I highly recommend that you create one. Stay tuned because I'm gonna create a video telling you all the tips and tricks of how to do a all-star LinkedIn profile that is going to help you attract recruiters the right way. But those are the main things that you need to have on your resume on the very top part of your page. The second most important thing that a resume should have is your work experience. A lot of people will jump in and tell you that what you need is a professional summary or even a skill section, but I would argue that your experience will always take precedence over anything else. Now, if you're a recent graduate, most likely you will have your education at the top because you probably don't have a lot of real life experience. So I will also take that into consideration. But if you've been out of school for a year or more, I would move your education to the bottom of the page alongside your skills or anything else. Experience should be the very first thing that a recruiter should see because the hiring manager is what they're looking for. So your experience is going to be the very first thing that I want to see on the page. Following that is going to be your education, any languages that you speak, any certifications, your skills. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is the professional headline because I have a love-hate relationship with this. I love professional headlines if they are well written and if they are relevant to your background. Relevant to your background in the sense of if you are a career changer, if you are changing industries, if you are brand new and have no idea how to essentially express that story within your resume, in your background and your experience, I think that those 3 to 4 sentences can really give you an in to be able to explain the reason why you believe that this role can be the right role for you, although it doesn't really reflect on your untraditional background by not having the exact titles that the job that you're applying to is asking for. So a professional headline or an executive headline will essentially give you that opportunity, but you'll be able to give a story on how many years of experience you have, transferable skills that you have, and what area of expertise essentially you want to emphasize that knowledge. It's going to tell that story to the recruiter, the hiring manager, whoever it is that's going to be reading. However, this has to be very compelling, it has to be well done, and it has to be something that is going to entice me to continue you to read, because if you have just a generic headline that says a strategic banker with X amount of experience looking for the next exciting opportunity in the banking industry or the financial sector, you already lost me, because essentially that's something that anybody can say about any company, and it's not really going to interest me in want to read more. So you need to know how to do that storytelling in a way that's not gonna be fluffy, that's not going to essentially just have a bunch of strategic words that are not gonna be relevant to your story and to what is it exactly that you wanna convey in the first few seconds that the person is going to put their eyeballs on your resume and are gonna entice them to wanna read more. That is the point of your resume, is to essentially have strategic information in there that is relevant, that is concise, to give me, the recruiter, the hiring professional, the opportunity or the sneak peek of wanting to ask for more. It's like a little snack. It's like the appetizer. It's like the trailer of the movie. It's like the reel of that story for you to want for more. Now, when we talk about the experience, this is where the juice of this video is gonna be in, because this is where a lot of people miss the point. And this is where I used to miss the point as well when I first started in my career. People are used to detailing on their bullet points a lot of their experience in a way where it's just a laundry list of responsibilities. And the way that you're essentially going to win, or it's gonna help you win that interview, is by telling a story in a way of metrics. How can you translate that impact that you've had in the day-to-day job that you do at your particular company or your past projects, whatever it is that you do at your university? That is going to be key. And I'm gonna give you a formula. I'm gonna give you an example of how to write these resume bullet points, because it's going to make you stand out in a way that you've never thought of before. And I'm sure that you've probably heard of the Google's XYZ formula. Essentially, the way that you break this down is do Y as accomplished by X, and essentially converting or the outcome of Y, XYZ. I'm putting it on the screen right now so that you can essentially read it. I probably butchered that right now because I'm just reading it off the back of my head and I haven't seen it in a little while. But essentially, Google has a website where they walk you through how they want their resumes to be presented. And even though Google gives you this resource, there's a lot of candidates that still do not know that this exists. And essentially what I'm telling you with this is that it's very important for you to do research on the company that you might want to apply for, regardless of what the company is. They might tell you what the process looks like. They might actually be giving you the information on a silver platter. It's like the low-hanging fruit can be so overlooked sometimes. And the XYZ formula can be so confusing for some people, because I've spoken to people on the phone sometimes and they just don't understand how that works. So I've been trying to come up with a way to make it a little bit more snackable or more easier to understand. So I was talking to a friend the other day, and essentially she also uses this formula. We just called it differently. So I call the what, the how, and the impact. And so I just didn't know how to come up with an acronym that really made sense. So she said, I actually use the same formula, but I call it the how formula. So what, how, and the outcome. Although I actually use it with the what, the how, and the impact. And it didn't make sense to call it a he, like the W, H, and I. So the fact that she said outcome as opposed to impact, it makes so much sense to call it the who formula. So I asked for permission to use her acronym on this video to make it a lot more digestible and understandable for everybody watching this video. So utilizing that formula, I'm going to be breaking down one bullet point where essentially I'm going to give you an example of an okay bullet point, a good bullet point, and an excellent bullet point. With the excellent bullet point, I'm going to be breaking down exactly where the what of the bullet point is, the how of the bullet point is, and the outcome of the bullet point is. Now, the reason why I think people have difficulties creating bullet points this way is because they believe that they have to be in that order. You don't have to put the impact at the end. You can put the impact in the beginning. You don't have to put the what in the middle. You can put it in the end or the middle of the beginning of your bullet point. So I'm going to be giving you an example where the how of your bullet point is in the beginning, the what is in the middle, and the outcome is at the end. So I'm gonna be showing you on the screen what this looks like for my visual learners. And an okay bullet point looks like this. Grew viral influencer social media account in 3 months. That's an okay bullet point. Like, I can read it and say, okay, this person is essentially helping an influencer grow their social media account. But let's take it a step further and let's talk about a good bullet point. Give a little bit more juice into that and give me a little bit more context and information behind that. A good bullet point will sound like this. Executed a social media campaign for viral influencer to increase website traffic, resulting in increased sales. Do you see there how we took it a little bit of a step further, where essentially you told me what you did, with what intentions of what you did? Or you're not really giving me the impact just yet, because I don't know. You told me that you wanted to increase the sales, but you didn't tell me by how much. You didn't give me numbers. You didn't tell me in how long you did that, how viral was this person. So you know where I'm getting with this. So I hope that this is really helping you understand. If you need to pause and take notes, please do that, because essentially studying this video and taking a pause of what it is to do the how formula is essentially going to change the way that you write bullet points. It's gonna blow your mind, I'm telling you. Not to in my own horn, I've taught this to other people and they just are like, wow, I'm getting interviews. This is it. This is why you start to get interviews, because once you start to convey what it is that you do, how you do it, and the reason why you do those things, I mean, it's just mind-blowing. So now let's break down an excellent bullet point of what it would look like utilizing the WHO formula. Managed and implemented a social media campaign for TikTok and Pinterest for a viral influencer, driving an additional 100,000 monthly views worth of website traffic, resulting in over 2,500 qualified leads in 4 months. You see the difference there? So we went from just grew an influencer social media account in 3 months to executed a social media campaign for viral influencer to increase website traffic, all the way to giving me the details. You're going down to the grind to give me behind the scenes looks of how much did you grow that by? What type of social media accounts were you working on? How viral was this influencer? How much leads and qualified sales did you actually make based on how much you grew this website traffic? Now you're telling me what you're capable of. Now you're telling me how good of a marketing campaign person you are. Now I know how big of a campaign you can take your hands on and how long would it take you to potentially replicate that result in our company. That is what it's all about. So now let's break down this bullet point. So as you can see here, managed and implemented a social media campaign for TikTok and Pinterest for a viral influencer. That's your how. How did you do that? You did that by implementing and managing the social media account, driving an additional 100,000 monthly views of social media website traffic. That is what you did. That's what you did for that person, resulting in over 2,500 qualified leads in 4 months. That's the metric, that's the outcome, that's the result. Okay? Now you're ready to write those amazing bullet points. Now you know what's needed on a resume when it comes to the corporate America side. That's what my experience is in. And now you can come back and tell me in the comments what the results were from this video. This is all free. You got it from me, and you're essentially hearing it from somebody who has over 9 years of experience in the hiring industry. I've been a recruiter for 9 years. Now I have an HR position. I've been a hiring manager myself. I've been a manager of teams myself. And this is coming from hiring thousands of people and talking and working with hundreds of hiring managers, as well as essentially talking to other people in the industry, peers, people that essentially create these systems of hiring. So let me know if you have any questions. I am so excited. Remember that this is a series that I'm creating here on YouTube on teaching you how to get hired faster, how to get more confident in the way that you're negotiating. And I cannot wait for you to come back and tell me that you've either gotten interviews, that you're getting more traffic on your LinkedIn profile, and that you're getting hired in less time than you ever thought possible. So make sure that you're hitting the notification bell and that you are subscribing so that you don't miss any of those videos. If you have any questions, let me know, and make sure to check out the down bar there for any resources that I've mentioned in this video. I hope to see you on the next one very soon. Bye-bye.